Welcome to My Modern Myth. I am your host, Eric, and this is another rolling reflection edition where I take the lessons I learned in my most recent class and apply them to the My Modern Myth philosophy, which is we are using our mind and body to write the best life story possible. And part of this body portion is engaging in sport, whether it's running, jiu-jitsu, triathlon, cycling, weightlifting, whatever it is, we're moving our body in some way to help us further understand the mind. And we need both to stimulate the mind and the body. And jiu-jitsu is one of the best ways that I've been finding recently to do that for myself. And so that's where I pull a lot of meaning from. And this lesson is right framed around something my coach said about trying something 10 times before it works. You know, we were learning grip fighting from closed guard, and there's a sequence of attacks that you can make and setups you can try. And in any kind of a match, you're trying these things and you might set it up and you might miss it and they pull their hand away and then you reset it up and you go for it. But then now they pull their hand away again. So you're going to set something else up. There's another option and you're always working towards the same goal. You're just trying different pathways to get there. And when he said that, it just clicked because that's so much of what I've been experiencing in life. Is I have the same goal in mind, but my approach to achieving it is different. It's not different in a way that is drastic, but it's different enough that when I look at it, sometimes I think I'm off the path, but I'm just iterating in a different way. I'm approaching the same issue, which is healing and growth, from a different way. I'm constantly refining my message and my method to become the most effective, even though I don't know that's why it's happening. Even though in the moment I feel like maybe I'm being flaky because I'm shifting again, or I'm awakening to a reality that is going to shift the paradigm of what I'm trying to say. It's still the same goal. I'm still pursuing the same path I've been pursuing, which is since 2008, just saying I am dedicated to growth and healing and becoming the best version and the most effective version of myself that I can be to help the most amount of people. Whether I've been in film, whether I've been in triathlon, whether I've been podcasting this show, or in this healing space, I've been serving in this organization, been doing this sport, it's all to the same end. And every time I acquire a new skill, it adds to my toolbox. It adds to my understanding. And so when we look at life, we have to have the same attitude that it's not a waste of time. I've had lots of conversations with people that talk about, oh, I wasted my time on this degree. I understand that feeling because I have a degree in respiratory therapy. And how is that serving me now in what I'm doing? Well, it's not really, but I did learn about the lungs and inspiration and physiology. And it's really great to know anatomy and understand your body, right? As a father, it also helps me in the treatment of my children when they had some kind of a lung condition. I was versed in it. So I knew what to do in the moment, how to test it at home and see if we had to go to the hospital or not. So was it worth it for that degree for for that moment? I mean, no, I don't think that's why I went into it. That's not why we go into school necessarily, but I don't do that job. So was it a waste of time? No, because I walked away with a skill set, an understanding that I didn't have before. And it's all in the way we choose to view these failures that writes that life story. And so the narrative of I wasted my time serves me not. It doesn't serve any of us to just look at something and say that was a waste of time. There's always something you can pull from it. And I think that's the empowering path. And this moment of jiu-jitsu, just like every moment, there's something I can pull from it. And that's my dedication is, stripes, belt color, rank, wins, losses, all these things factor in. They're part of the journey. But my biggest focus and my biggest commitment to the sport and why I want to make it work for me and do the things I need to recover my body so that I can go and continue is because I'm dedicated to pulling meaning out of every single session. Because sport is a reflection of life, just like many things. It's just jiu-jitsu for me has been a very hyper-focused, in-your-face, cold water plunge of reality. And that is a wonderful teacher. For me, not everyone learns the same way, but I pull meaning from it. And I think the more we can subject ourselves to environments that teach us empowered stories and extrapolate empowered lessons that we can apply to our daily life and the way we love our family, the way we engage and show up in our career, that's a valuable thing. So back to this lesson. My coach said, you might find yourself trying to set this up 10 different times, 5 different ways before you finally make it work. And I thought, yeah, I mean, how many times in life do we give up after 2 tries? After we can't make the technique, after the move doesn't work the way we wanted it to, how many times do we give up and start looking for anything else besides another option to attack the same problem? How many times do we walk away from the situation because it's just too challenging and we feel too big of a failure, and we don't want to look at ourselves that way? The only way that we're a failure is if we completely leave the game in a disempowered state, not because it's not for me, but because I'm just frustrated and I don't want to put in the work to get better, so I walk away, even though there are other paths. To this point for me, it's tough because I get it. You're in a class, you're in a fight, and the technique you're drilling doesn't work because this person is resisting, and in drilling, you're letting it happen. Well, that doesn't mean you have to abandon. It means, oh, shoot, yeah, thank you for that permission, because it gave me permission to realize it doesn't need to work the first or second try. But you don't abandon, you reset. Every time we get shaken, we reset. We're still in control. The technique, the idea can still work, but we just have to regroup, settle down, come back to our center, and then try again. Maybe a little bit different, figuring out why it didn't work. There's a reflection of this. And in a movie, these are called montages. The benefit of a montage is it's what's happened up to this point, not what's happening now. A movie has the benefit of compressing years potentially of work and struggle into a 1-minute scene. And it always starts with someone struggling to get the concepts to get, usually it's exercise, and so they can't even do one push-up, and they're just, upset, and the frustration, which is where we usually quit, and we decide it's not for us. But then eventually over time, and the music swells, and it's really motivational, and all of a sudden they start doing it. Now they're doing one-handed push-ups, and now they're doing just ridiculous things, throwing boulders over the Empire State Building. Or, it's insanity, right? Like it evolves into now they're a champion and they're ready to take on the world. We don't get that benefit because we have to live the 10 years of that montage for that 1-minute clip. So the benefit of the montage for us is to appreciate the fact that it's not going to happen for us now. The looking at where I'll be in 10 years for me didn't bring satisfaction. It gave me frustration because I couldn't get that image out of my head, and I couldn't make sense of how my struggles now would equate to being that person in 10 years. The only way that I got there was by forgetting about who that man would be in 10 years and just focus on the now and how I can make this work. What do I need to do? Where do I need to put myself? Where do you need to put yourself to be challenged in a way that makes you keep coming back and re-looking at the situation and trying to make it better? The moment we surge forward is the moment that we become okay working quietly in the background. There's a lot of noise on social media. There's a lot of desire to make a splash in some kind of way at class, online, wherever. There's a lot of hope that you will validate me if I share with you what I've been up to. And I feel that very deeply. I understand that drive. But the biggest surges I've had is when I stop sharing everything with everybody and reduce that to a core group of people who are invested in my success. And I'm invested in theirs as well. Learning how to celebrate each other and only criticizing so we can understand how to continue to grow through that obstacle. Just like when the coach comes over to me and says, don't forget, you have to pull the hand, loop, and punch. I wasn't doing that and it wasn't working. And then when I did that, oh my God, it worked. Of course, when I went to live sparring, I couldn't quite get it because there was live resistance, but I know now, just like when my other coach, Ben, tells me that in a takedown, if I'm trying to get the takedown and it's not going to happen, I can go to turtle. I can go to my back from turtle and just get into guard and then work from there instead of burning all my energy. He didn't say this, but now I realize instead of burning all my energy on something that's not going to happen, I can just advance to the next position and restart from there. No big deal. The game's not over. But if I murder myself trying to get this futile thing to work when it's clearly not, and I've already abandoned any hope of it working out, but I'm still dogging this thing into the ground, then I'm wasting all of my energy so that if I ever get to a beneficial position, I won't have the energy to continue to go. So I surge forward when I get quiet and I listen. And we surge forward when we get quiet and we listen. And when I say listen to the story we're telling ourselves. And then listen to the story we should be telling ourselves, the story we want to tell ourselves. And then start to get around people who can help you do that. It doesn't have to be a physical relationship, but it's looking for ways to connect with people who want that same thing. That's one of the benefits of online education, of online communities, is finding the ones that actually want the best for you. That's the benefit of going to a gym, a jiu-jitsu class, is you're surrounded by a bunch of people who want the same thing. It might be different flavors of the same thing, but they're all there working really hard, doing something very challenging to better themselves for some reason. And your odds are you're going to find somebody or a couple people in that gym that want the same external result that you want. For some, it's friendship. For some, it's laughter. For some, it's, I just need some support because I'm going through a hard time. There's a range of people, and where people congregate and want something better for themselves through a physical pursuit, you're going to find within that niches that allow you to get in relationship with people who want the same thing. And now when we get in these relationships, we can start to see and gain the courage to regrip and retry and recommit to this idea, but from a different perspective. We can achieve those goals and be free to change those goals in our avenue of attack, because maybe this approach wasn't getting us the result that we wanted. So we have to come at it from a different angle. And sometimes that's understanding, why do I even want this thing in my life? Why am I trying to achieve this? What is it going to get me? And if I don't get it, what does it say about me? And am I okay working for this with no guarantee that I ever get where I'm going? And it'd be nice, I guess, if we could flash forward to the montage and watch the playback and see how we got there. But the benefit is, and will always be, in shutting out that which is an oppressive view of who we want to be, and exchange that for appreciation for the one who is here now, willing to put in the work to become that person that they want to be without compressing themselves into a timeline. Because timelines are great, but they also make you panic when the move, when the sequence, when the path to your goal isn't working, when there's too much challenge, too many things fall on you at one time, and it feels like that vision is impossible. But all that's possible is dealing with what's here right now and identifying the story that you're telling yourself about it, about the failures, about the successes, and then deciding to yourself, what story do you need to be telling yourself? What do you need to embody? And as a matter of fact, one of the first classes I plan on having here in the near future is helping you identify what story you've been writing, whether that's a macro story or a micro, just a recent one in the last week or whatever it is, because there's an important analysis in understanding the lifetime story versus the most recent one. And in movies, we call it log lines, which is just a very short 1 or 2 sentence statement about the story that's been written that we're about to read and dig into. It's about the hero and their flaw and what they want and what's happening. And it compresses an entire movie, an entire lifetime into 2 sentences or less, to 1 or 2 sentences, which is really hard to do. But when we do that to our own life, we can start to see our life in new ways. And that's going to be an area that I want to help set the tone for what my modern myth is, because it is and will always be a place where we learn how our mind and body is writing our current life story, understanding the story we want to write and what we need to be doing to get there. How can we set a course that leads to us in a year, in 5 years, in 10 years, looking back at the montage of our life and appreciating all of the struggle and that we didn't give up, and then seeing the success, but the continuation of struggle even within success. If we can't get comfortable with that discomfort of feeling unsuccessful now, we're not going to be ready for the intensity of the lack of success when we are successful, because it doesn't go away. There's always going to be struggle. So we have to build these communities and systems and ritual and habit in our lives, this network of people that will be there when we do have those down days, because there is no self-help system. There is no learning, healing that will ever be enough to make you never have a bad day. And in fact, another point to talk about is I think bad days are okay. They're helpful because they slow you down. But that's all we're going to talk about today. So until next time, journey on, my friends.